let's talk about Bill Goldberg in 2025. Hello, everybody. My name is Sancho West, and this is Sancho West Wrestling, where I talk about all the things I love about wrestling. If you love wrestling as much as I do, this is going to be your place for you. Consider subscribing. All right. I'm not going to do the common thing that you've probably seen a lot of videos of your other people out there, your other pundits, your talking heads, describing how this is like a god-awful move in 2025. How dare Triple H and TKO Endeavor dip into the nostalgia bucket, try to get as much money from the old heads out there who remember Goldberg from WCW days. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you another kind of POV, and that's what I love about this channel is like I kind of sit back and kind of see what's happening along the landscape and then figure out, well, what about this? And so I'm going to give you that what about this kind of perspective. But before I do, I think there's three camps in this entire Bill Goldberg saga in 2025. There's the WCW guys and gals that absolutely love Bill Goldberg for what he was, what he first came out on the scene. This guy went 100-0 almost. The streak was insane. He was built to be the ultimate world beater. This guy was Superman, the Hulk rolled into one in living color, in person. He was an intense person, and you can hear the way I'm describing him. This is the era that I come from, the Attitude Era, where it was Monday Night Raw versus WCW Nitro, and it was going back and forth. And Goldberg, alongside Sting, alongside the NWO, were able to beat the WWF for a good chunk of time, and there was literally no answers for Goldberg. It got to the point that literally the WWF mocked Goldberg with Gilberg, and they were trying to ruin the aura of Goldberg. But it's a fascinating case, and they made so many documentaries of this about the fall of WCW. Is like literally Goldberg and all those guys, they did it to themselves. One of the things that ended Goldberg was a cattle prod situation. They got to overproduce Bill Goldberg, when at its core, at its most simplistic thing ever, it is literally spear, jackhammer, and go home. That was the formula that carried Goldberg throughout his career in the early days, and it worked so well. Now, there was instances throughout his career that eventually, like, people were exposing Bill Goldberg that he's not actually a pro wrestler. The most infamous match is William Regal versus Bill Goldberg, where William Regal just worked Bill Goldberg for a little bit, and eventually it was exposed that he can't really work a wrestling match more than 6 or 7 minutes. Compile that alongside with a Bret Hart injury, which, if you don't know, Bret Hart just absolutely despises Bill Goldberg. At any opportunity, Bret Hart's going to tell you that he hates Bill Goldberg because of a pump kick incident that pretty much ended Bret Hart's career or started the domino effect. There's a long saga in that could rival the Star Wars series. And then there's another camp, the camp that is from the Ruthless Aggression era, the early 2000s, where they got to saw kind of like a taste of what Bill Goldberg was. And that's a kind of a thing that I leave to you, that if you were on this era, I leave a big question mark. The only person I could kind of rely to was Santi, and Santi said that Bill Goldberg still had that aura. Bill Goldberg still had that little vibe that he used to have in the WCW days. Now, I'm looking at his entire match history, and I don't see anything like as egregious as the short matches. I mean, I do see every now and then there was a 2-minute, 6-minute match. That literally on Raw, you had Goldberg versus Shawn Michaels last 6 minutes, and that was in October 20th, 2003. You're looking at another match with Chris Jericho, 7 minutes. There's really not much change to this formula. Is that the change is that he's older and he's going against the characters like The Rock. Literally, Goldberg defeats The Rock in 15 minutes. That's probably one of the longest matches we have here at 2003 Backlash, and that was in April 27, 2003. So that is something where I'm amiss on. Now, I do know that this era does end in a sour taste for a lot of people, and that was in WrestleMania 20, where Goldberg went up against Brock Lesnar with a special guest referee, Stone Cold, and everybody kind of knew the dirt sheets vibe that both Goldberg and Brock Lesnar were going on the way out of the WWE, and no one really cared about the match, and that match lasted 14 minutes. And then 2016 rolls around. This is kind of like a little bit of a special segment area. I kind of leave it as a rogue area in Goldberg's career, where he literally beats Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series 2016 in less than 2 minutes. And that kind of jumpstarts this really weird spot where Goldberg is working really hard and really well. But then quickly, this is where I bring in you, where I would say the majority of you are in this conversation, because I did a review of all the Royal Rumbles, and I felt when Brock Lesnar kind of got eliminated by Goldberg 2017, I was like, oh my God, this is hype. This is really cool to get this feeling of Bill Goldberg returning back to glory. But this is where it goes sour really, really quickly, where all of a sudden he gets a match with your favorite and a lot of people's favorite, Goldberg versus Kevin Owens, 22 seconds, Fastlane, title change. Universal title, Brock Lesnar defeats Goldberg, so that's fine. But then Undertaker defeats Goldberg in a super showdown in Saudi. Now, this is where that turn started to happen. That match was not great. Unfortunately, Goldberg did concuss himself in that match, and you had a very aging Undertaker way past his prime. And the two formula resulted in disaster. It's probably one of the most embarrassing matches of Undertaker's career, and he admittedly so. It was not a great match for the Taker. And then you get Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler in a 2-minute match. So already the modern fan is introduced to Goldberg as a character that literally could only wrestle 2 minutes and an aging superstar. Goldberg then defeats The Fiend. And it is this moment, and this was another super showdown, and this is the time where the Saudi Arabia crowds really wanted big names. The WWE was marketing the big guys, and you had the weird Brothers of Destruction of Kane and The Undertaker versus D-Generation X of Triple H and Shawn Michaels, bringing Shawn Michaels out of retirement. But people don't want to talk about that. But it was at this moment where you had an organic superstar in Bray Wyatt who created this phenomenal character, this iteration, this gimmick of The Fiend, get literally speared and barely jackhammered and losing to Goldberg. And I think this is the moment that people latch on to the most. And this is the moment that we will never forget. Now, there was plenty of moments, if you look at the rest of it, where it was Braun Strowman versus Goldberg. Goldberg loses. Drew McIntyre beats Goldberg in the Thunderdome in the Royal Rumble 2021. Bobby Lashley beats Goldberg in SummerSlam 2021. And then you got Goldberg beating Bobby, and then you have Roman Reigns beating Goldberg. And that's one of the last instances of that. But no one really talks about those matches. It is Goldberg versus The Fiend that the people talk about the most. And it was a sign where people were understanding that The Fiend is not going to get anywhere, right? You did have The Fiend work Seth Rollins and things of that sort, but nothing could come close as something as atrocious as Goldberg easily defeating The Fiend. And that is where we are right now, right? I think what the most biggest problem in this Goldberg versus Gunther is I think we're seeing how the sausage is made. We saw how wrestling can be a business. And I think that's what bothers me the most, and they may bother you, is that you're seeing that at the end of the day, it's all business, baby. And pro wrestling could sometimes be about the dollar, and it all could be about what can sell the most tickets. And I think when the WWE is at its best, when we can't see that business, but it feels like this time it was done very sloppily. And because we could see their work, that is why we're getting upset. Because this all goes back to that Bad Blood, where you had Gunther cut a weird, strange promo for no reason to Bill Goldberg. Now, it kind of did feel the heel persona of Gunther to kind of want to be, I'm the best around and nobody else can keep me down and no one else is on my level. You're not on my level. So all of a sudden, he just calls out Bill Goldberg and then cuts a promo on his family, on his son, and then to his face says Bret Hart is his favorite wrestler. Some great funny stuff that automatically put Gunther a level above. But of course, Bill Goldberg's not going to stand for that in his backyard of Atlanta, in front of his son, in front of his family. He's going to bow up to Gunther. And then everybody kind of forgot. I didn't forget, but everyone kind of be like, that's a cute, fun moment. But Triple H never forgets. This man is like an elephant. And as always, the WWE was kind of using this as a taste, like a tastemaker for everybody. Like, ooh, check this out. Are you all interested in Goldberg versus Gunther? And there was enough there to kind of have this in the back of the minds of everybody. It was almost as like that was the first shoe falling, and now we were waiting for the second shoe. When is the second shoe going to follow? And I was like, okay, this has to happen soon. Gunther has that program with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, And at the most instance, I was like, okay, this is another opportunity for Goldberg to kind of come in to save the announcer team, Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. I thought in the match with Pat McAfee, I thought Michael Cole was going to eventually get grabbed by Gunther, and then that would bring out Goldberg. So automatically, that will kind of erase what happened with the Fiend and the modern day fan and the current fan and go, oh, okay, this guy's cool. This guy's a legend and he wants to save the commentators. I'm on board with Goldberg. But what did the WWE do? They did not do that. Instead, the WWE showed their work. And let me kind of explain that a little bit. Let me unpack that statement. If you think about where all this started to happen, you literally had Jey Uso win the Rumble, okay? Well, first, you had main event happen before the Rumble where Jey Uso lost to Gunther. Then you had Jey Uso win the Rumble, okay? The most star-studded Rumble of all time. All that leading to a 2-month buildup where Jay's downing himself. Jey doesn't know if he could beat Gunther. Jimmy slapping the taste out of Gunther's mouth. Jey botching, Jey doubting himself once again. And then all of a sudden, Jey stands up to Gunther and says, I'm not afraid of you, Gunther. I'm not afraid of you. And then literally Gunther cutting a promo like, dude, I'm going to do some heinous things to you. I want to call your mom from the hospital. Crazy stuff. Then going to Jey Uso partying with Travis Scott. Weird and bizarre, but we got to Mania. We had an opportunity to see what could happen. And Jey taps out Gunther. Wow. Jey Uso, main event, carries the belt, continues driving on. Gunther kind of flounders, right? And now we're here. What happens to Jey Uso? Money in the Bank happens. Seth Rollins has the Money in the Bank briefcase. Seth Rollins said he's going to go after the heavyweight title with Jey Uso. So we're okay, that's there. What's going to happen with Gunther? But before we got to Money in the Bank, we had a random tag team match kind of get built out, right? John Cena, Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. And you were wondering, what is this match for? Now, during that whole process, Ron Unaliving's R-Truth was let go, contract lapse, everybody gets pissed off. The WWE brings it back. They do the whole segment at Money in the Bank, right? I asked myself this question. What was the finish if Ron R-Truth was not involved? And I think the finish was beat Jey Uso down to the point where we injure him or he's hurt going into that match with Gunther, so that when Gunther puts him in a sleeper and puts him to sleep, then that protects Jey Uso. And the reason why they take the belt off of Jey Uso, again, WWE showing the work, they take the belt off of Jey Uso so it could clear the path for Bill Goldberg to come in to challenge Gunther for the title, because and the rumors is that Triple H felt that it needed a title to happen at Saturday night's main event, a network televised show from NBC at Atlanta, Georgia, in Bill Goldberg's backyard. So look at all the work that the WWE did to get to this point. Now you may be saying, Sancho, there is no such thing as long-term booking. Triple H has kind of admitted that, so, or even though he wants to believe that, it's almost a week to week to week. So you're telling me that the WWE, there's two kind of coins to this story. That either coin side A, the WWE built up this entire Jey Uso Gunther saga to lead to Bill Goldberg, or they threw away everything that they were building with Jey Uso for this money moment with Bill Goldberg, and thus continuing the sour taste in our mouths. The only thing is, this time, instead of Bill Goldberg squashing I'm not gonna say organic, but an up and coming, rising, glowing main star, main eventer in Jey Uso, they do it through booking. They threw it through business, and I think that is what we feel jaded upon. Is that so? What happens now, right? What happens now? Is Goldberg gonna beat Gunther? Who does Goldberg drop the title to? If Jey Uso beats Goldberg, is that gonna make Jey Uso a higher star? Is that gonna give a little bit more oomph to Jay's reign? Or what if it was just Jey Uso versus Goldberg? But it's weird, because when Bad Blood happened, I was like, cool, we could have this fun showcase match of Gunther and Goldberg. And at that time, Gunther was kind of like floundering a little bit, not really being the ring general. And I was like, okay, maybe Goldberg could give him that rub. Maybe Goldberg could be like a Roman Reigns, like a Bobby Lashley, like a Drew McIntyre, like a Braun Strowman that could give him that little extra But instead, we go for nostalgia. We go for the money. We go for the easy pop. And that is where we are right now. But the only thing I would have to leave you at the end of this video is you're in WWE, right? Bill Goldberg comes to you and is like, bro, I want to retire. Today, 2025, I want to retire. Goldberg has kind of already alluded to that he doesn't want to do business with AEW. AEW could throw a lot of money at Goldberg to give him the retirement tour that he wants. They did it with Ric Flair. They had so many. They did it with Sting. And even though Ric Flair kind of had an indie show to do like his last hurrah, the point is AEW is fine with giving other talents that are legendary status with names farewell tours. So imagine if you're the WWE and you're sitting there and Goldberg comes to you and says, I want to retire with you. What are you going to do? You're going to say no to Bill Goldberg? Someone who has legacy, someone that has stature within the business that would definitely bring a lot of new eyeballs to your product. It's a hard thing to balance for Triple H and TKO and all those kind of things. But I think what the mix-up is they thought it needed the title. And clearly it didn't need the title. Jey Uso should be champion still. Gunther could be on this side quest, and it'd be a fun side quest, and I think it'd be fine to main event Saturday Night Main Event. I think it'd be the perfect thing to have for that show. At the end of the day, who knows what's going to be. I see Goldberg probably going no less than 6 minutes, maybe a little bit past 6 minutes. I have a current bet with Santi that either if it goes less than 6 minutes, I'll give him 10 gifted subs on Twitch. But hey, regardless, I'm here for it. I'm going to bring you all my opinions. I'm going to give you as many updates as possible throughout this entire thing and hopefully bring you new perspectives. But I want to hear your perspective, your POV. What do you think, and or what camp are you in? Are you like a WCW person? Are you the Ruthless Aggression, or are you the modern era where he's just past his prime? Or is this that you think that this old legend is stealing plenty of power away, or eyeballs, or opportunities, I would say, from what they currently have already working? It kind of reminds me when The Rock came back. And yes, the final boss was great, but then when that kind of went south, it's like, Rock, we kind of are doing our own thing right now, dude. We're kind of well without you. Like, did John Cena need The Rock to be able to do a heel turn? No. So does Gunther need Goldberg to be able to be the heel that he is? No. Does Jey Uso need Goldberg to be main eventer? No. He's already doing well. That's what I want to say. So be sure to subscribe for more. I appreciate you stopping by. Have a good one.